So I'm Chris McMillan. I'm a PGY4 at Baylor Scott White in Temple, Texas. And I want to talk to you about my presentation on ocular syphilis disguised as VKH. It's a case report. So as we all know, syphilis is the great imitator, great masquerader of a whole host of all different other conditions. And in this case, we had a patient who had very telltale features of VKH, which is much more rare. And instead, as we ended up discovering, it turned out to be syphilis. So VKH, in terms of how it typically presents, it has a typical prodromal period, an acute uveitic period, and a convalescent phase, as it's discussed here. So in this prodromal phase, there can be tinnitus, there can be headache, there can be hearing changes otherwise. And then in terms of the ocular findings, very commonly associated with serous detachments, as well as optic disc edema and panuveitis. We have this case here. So a 50-year-old female presents with vision loss in both eyes. She described a hazy-like room, almost like she was looking through a bubble and looking through a smoky room. And she had a hand motion vision in both eyes. And otherwise, she had visual field deficits as well. And so as you can see in the pictures here, there is diffuse optic disc hemorrhages in the right eye. And then in terms of the left eye, there's this massive exudative detachment. And we got an FA, which confirmed as much. You can see that there's disc leakage, and then there's diffuse macular leakage in that left eye as well. So in terms of a differential, we had to consider inflammatory versus infectious causes. So we considered VKH and sarcoid, as well as syphilis and TB. And the patient was ultimately admitted for an extensive workup. And at that time, they found a positive RPR and positive syphilis antibodies. And so we started IV penicillin. But in this case, as I discussed in our discussion section here, syphilis is a real problem. It always has to be considered on the differential. It can present in a whole host of different manners. And in this case, syphilis can very infrequently present with serous detachments. And I found data suggesting only 4.2% of cases with syphilis are with exudative detachments. However, in VKH, it's up to 87%. And so it makes sense why there could be diagnostic confusion. However, given the importance of starting steroids, you always have to consider syphilis in the differential. And that is all, and thank you for listening.